This is Morgan Freeman. Now, my assistant Donnie has brought a certain YouTube show to my attention. It's called The Bible Reloaded with Hugo and Jake. Now, it's been my extreme displeasure to have to watch this. I found it offensive and immature, and also that the production quality was not dissimilar to that of an elementary school play. And they make fun of genocide and all manner of terrible acts, but the worst of it is they use my picture when depicting God. Now, why can't you use pictures of Kofi Annan or Nelson Mandela or that goddamn Lawrence Fishburne? I keep getting asked, what's it like working with Keanu? Is he really that sad? I have a little fun and say things like, yeah, even caught him masturbating once. Well, if you feel so inclined and there's something deeply, deeply wrong with you, then go ahead and enjoy. It's The Bible Reloaded with Hugo and Jake.
La 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 la. Here we go. It's the Bible reloaded, logic explosion, like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken, so get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up a pew and stop what you're doing. It's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the theists will hate it, like talking to taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So I'm with the show then, it's not candy coated, it's the Bible reloaded with Hugo and Jake. With Hugo and Jake.
Hello everyone, I'm Hugo,
And I'm Jake.
and this is the Bible Reloaded. So last week, what happened was some stuff.
Yeah.
What
Mostly
happened?
Judges. We went through Judges 1 through 3.
Yep,
Actually,
Israel,
1 through 2. We're starting in 3 today.
Israel fought some Canaanites, and then apparently
guy.
they turned away from Yahweh, and now they're being put kind of into slavery again. With
Sort of. What happens is they'll get a judge, which is not like Judge Dredd, more like the Punisher. And
It's not really like the Punisher either.
It's-
It's like a leader. It's like a leader.
it's like a leader that murders people for like 8 years, and then they're gone, and then people go back to not believing in God.
Yeah, so they're gonna basically in this next part try and
It's like battle Ray Comfort.
try and get out of their servitude and try and get back to being the wandering Israelites we all know and love. Also, I'd like to point out, I am kind of sick today, so I'm sorry for my voice, but
You sound sexy.
we gotta do what we gotta do, don't we?
Yeah.
Alright, so we go to Judges, chapter 3, verse 12. Ehud.
Ehud.
Again the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and because they did this evil, the Lord gave Eglon, king of Moab, power over Israel, getting the Amorites and Amalekites to join him. Eglon came and attacked Israel, and they took possession of the city of Palms. The Israelites were subject to Eglon, king of Moab, for 18 years.
The city of Palms is another name for Jericho, apparently.
Yeah, which
Now
is...
we're giving nicknames to cities.
Yeah, so this king comes in, he's like, well, this is fucking mine, so it's his, and the Israelites basically lived under him, and didn't attempt to storm a coup, nothing, we're just Eglon.
Being Israelites. Getting enslaved.
Again the Israelites cried out to the Lord, and he gave them a deliverer, Ehud, a left-handed man,
You know, we have to point it out.
like Ned Flanders, the son of Gera and Benjamite. Ooh, is that like Vegemite?
I've never tried Vegemite.
I haven't either.
Australian friends, what's Vegemite taste like? I hear it's terrible.
Not you, Adam Reeks, I don't care what you have to say.
I hear it's like, isn't it yeast byproduct?
I have no idea what
That
it
sounds
is.
fucking terrible. I'd try it though.
The Israelites sent him with tribute to Eglon, king of Moab. Now Ehud had made a double-edged sword about a cubit long, which he strapped to his right thigh under his clothing. He presented the tribute to Eglon, king of Moab, who was a very fat man. After Ehud had presented the tribute, he sent on their way those who had carried it. But,
Who the person writing this part of Judges is like taking liberties.
he's
just
I
like-
like to think it's a bitchy teenager, like, he was a fat guy.
What a fatty.
Oh my god.
Sure, you want to eat that
so
hamburger,
gross.
you fat fuck?
Gonna go throw up. So popular. After Ehud had presented the tribute, he sent on their way those who had carried it, but on reaching the stone images near Gilgal, he himself went back to Eglon and said, Your Majesty, I have a secret message for you. Wink, wink.
This sounds like a Goosebumps.
The king said to his attendants, Leave us, and they all left. See, this is the sign of a bad ruler. I don't know how he stayed in power for 18 years. Here's what you do. You say, I have a secret for you. Okay, guards? Earmuffs. And then they go, la la la, and then you have them whisper it in your ear. Don't send the guards out.
That's a good way to get stabbed.
Especially when you're a really fat guy.
By an 18-inch sword-wielding left-hander.
And just so you guys know, the part about the left hand is important, because it's supposed to be saying it was on the opposite side that they would normally check a weapon for. That's why they didn't notice it. Which is bullshit, as if people didn't know left-handed people existed. Clearly they did. This guy wrote about it. But,
Yeah.
But it's a literary device to be like, that's why they didn't know. They didn't check that side.
God called the Southpaw out of the bullpen.
Italian stallion.
That doesn't apply. Okay.
Ehud then approached him while he was sitting alone in the upper room of his palace and said, I have a message from God for you. As the king rose from his seat, Ehud reached up with his left hand, drew the sword from his right thigh, and plunged it into the king's belly. That's some badass fucking, you're in my territory shit. I have a message from Jerome for you. Stab.
Fatality.
Even the handle sank in after the blade and his bowels discharged.
Wow.
That's one of the most pleasant statements I've ever read in my life. And his bowels discharged.
Dude, they just said, when we killed your king, he shit himself.
Ehud did not pull the sword out and the fat closed in over it, because that's how that works.
This is the best thing I've ever read!
Then Ehud went out to the porch. He shut the doors of the upper room behind him and locked them. After he had gone, the servants came and found the doors of the upper room locked. They said, he must be relieving himself in the inner room of the palace.
Maybe it's because they smelled the shit?
Probably. They're like, does it smell like someone's bowels have discharged? He must be taking a dump, but it's one of those Middle Eastern dumps before we know about nutrition, so it's really bad.
Yeah.
I don't even know how...
There's not a bathroom in there.
It's gotta be just a pot on the floor, right?
There's no pot in there.
Oh.
It's just, I've been in there, man. Have you ever been in there?
I regret being a servant now. I wish this wasn't indentured servitude.
No,
I'd quit.
Yeah, no, I've talked to him a couple times.
We don't have rags. We're gonna have to clean that up with, leaves.
Yeah, he's a fat guy, too. I bet he eats a lot of, Taco Bell.
They waited to the point of embarrassment, but when he did not open the door of the room, they took the key and unlocked them. There they saw their lord fallen to the floor dead.
Okay.
They waited to the point of embarrassment. What's the point of embarrassment where you're like, wow, this shit is taking so long?
Should we go in there and check on him?
Ooh, I don't know. I
don't want to get shit. I don't want to see his
I don't want to
shit.
hit that wall of stink when you open it, but at the same time, he might have been stabbed. We did kind of leave him with a guy who we don't really know that well. Did you check the right side of him? Why would I check the right side? What if he's left-handed?
Well, he shook my hand, and he went with the left at first for just a second.
But then he went to the right. It was like a hesitation.
He did sign in with his left hand.
Fuck.
Oh.
I didn't think of it because I'm not literate.
I guarantee that was an assassin. What was his name?
I don't remember. We should probably check the logbook.
Ehud.
Oh, that's a murder if I ever heard a name like that.
Oh, it says, what's your business? Murder. Fuck. He's really good, or we're really bad. Whoa.
You should probably open this door. Now I'm worried about the stink even more, though, if I'm being completely honest.
I'm getting in trouble.
Let it go. Walk away.
Let it go.
Walk away. Back up. Verse 26. While they waited, Ehud got away. The old waiting for someone to finish shitting escape. Classic. He passed by the stone images and escaped to Selrah. When he arrived there, he blew a trumpet in the hill country of Ephraim, and the Israelites went down to him from the hills with him leading them. Was that the signal? Is that a horn? What if someone's just blowing a horn? No, it's Ehud. Gotta be him.
We gotta follow the horn.
Follow me, he ordered, for the Lord has given Moab, your enemy, into your hands. They followed him down and took possession of the fords of the Jordan that led to Moab. They allowed no one to cross over. At that time they struck down about 10,000 Moabites, all vigorous and strong. Not one escaped. That day Moab was made subject to Israel, and the land had peace for 80 years. 80 years?
80 whole years.
I'm just saying, for that to be true, this scripture had to be written at least 80 years after the event. That's like 2 or 3 lifetimes. Can I just point that out for these people?
Right.
So I don't know how reliable this might be. People talk about the scriptures not being reliable because of when they were written versus what era they're talking about.
I think they're not reliable by the amount of time that passes within one text.
I would agree. But this is, at the very least, you have to say this was written at least 80 years later.
I know.
Unless they're forecasting, like, oh, it's been a really good summer. It's probably going to last like 80 more years.
You know what I think the best part about this whole Ehud thing was, though? I feel like that was clearly written as a comedy.
I think at least in part.
Like a satire, almost. Like kind of like when they did the Lot and his daughters thing, which was clearly a smear campaign against Lot's tribe.
Yeah, I think they wouldn't put in something like they thought he was fat, and the part where they're like they thought he was relieving himself, and they waited to the point of embarrassment. That's meant to be, I think, at least in part, some sort of comic relief to go along with their
This,
what am I thinking of?
Diet.
Mythology, to go along with their mythology.
Yeah. And this is kind of why I love reading the Bible. I just like the window into a dead culture.
Yeah.
Honestly. As a history major, it makes me upset that this turned into a religion, but that's cool, though.
I'd just like to point out that we weren't the first ones to put poop jokes in the Bible, though.
Yep.
They're already there. We're just reloading it. It was already loaded. We redo that.
Yeah. Now we're gonna get to a pretty lengthy thing, and because Hugo's voice hurts, I'll read it. It's called Shamgar, and this is one of the more comprehensive portions of Judges. Chapter 3, verse 31. After Ehud came Shamgar, son of Anath, who struck down 600 Philistines with an ox goad. He too saved Israel. An ox goad is a cattle prod, and that's the end of that section.
I feel like that's way more interesting than he killed 600 Philistines with a fucking cattle prod.
But we're not going to talk about it.
I feel like that's the farmer. It's like if you were let's say you're watching a show about a construction worker.
Sure. What's his name?
Bill.
Bill the construction worker.
You're following Bill the construction worker, and one day he gets a call, and they're like, "You shouldn't come in today." And they're like, "Why?" The Decepticons are stacking energon cubes by the dam. And I think there's going to be a big fight. And Bill goes, "Shit, I should not be there." We know. And he hangs up, and he spends the day in bed eating Haagen-Dazs.
And that's
You ignored the interesting part of the story!
I know. Like...
Also, that is an actual episode of Transformers.
No fucking way.
Not that part. The part where they're hoarding energon cubes by a dam, and then they...
Why would you do it by a dam? Why don't you do it in the, like,
because I think
desert?
they were using the thing to energize the energon cubes. Moving on to Chapter 4. Deborah! Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. We're not going to go into what kind of evils, but the evils. Now that Ehud was dead, so the Lord sold them into the hands of the Jabin king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. Sisera, the commander of his army, was based in Hasharoth Haggayim, because he had 900 chariots fitted with iron and had cruelly oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. They cried to the Lord for help.
But the Lord couldn't help because they were iron chariots.
Which we established a page before. I'd like to point that out. That's a lot of fucking chariots, too. Whoever invented the chariot must have been so proud. It's basically like a basket with wheels that a horse pulls. Brilliant. Now Deborah, a prophet, the wife of Lipidoth, was leading the Israelites at the time. Leading by a woman, that's interesting.
Yeah.
She held the court under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the Israelites went up to her to have their disputes decided.
I like to point out that she named her own tree.
Yeah, as you do. She sent back for Barak. Barak?
Yep.
She sent back for Barak, son of Obama. That's a joke. She sent for Barak, son of Abinom.
Okay.
Abinom from Kadesh and Naphtali, and said to him, "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go take with you 10,000 men of Naphtali and Zebulun, and lead them up to Mount Tabor. I will lead Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his troops to the Kishon River, and give him into your hands." Barak said to her, "If you go with me..." I can't do a Barack Obama, god damn it. I'm gonna try it anyway. "If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't go with me, I won't go.
That's such a good fucking sentence, regardless of your bad Barack Obama impression.
That kind of sounds like something he'd say, too.
I
I don't know why. Certainly I will go with you, said Deborah, but because of the course you are taking, the honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. So Deborah went with Barak to Kadesh. There Barak summoned Zebulun and Naphtali, and 10,000 men went up under his command. Deborah also went up with him. Now Heber, the Kenite, had left the other Kenites, the descendants of Horab, Moses' brother-in-law, and pitched his tent by the great trees in Zananim, near Kadesh.
Wow! The great tree!
And, like, the tribe that's related to the brother-in-law of Moses. Like, holy shit, you are...
It is pretty Jewish, though. Read that with a Jewish accent, you're like, now Heber and Kenite had left the other Kenites, the descendants of Hobab, Moses' brother-in-law?
He pitched his tent by the great tree, Zananim, Kadesh. I don't know. When they told Sisera that Barak, son of Abinum, had gone up to Mount Tabor, Sisera summoned from Haroshesh Hagoyim to the Kishon River all his men and his 900 chariots fitted with iron. Then Deborah said to Barak, Go, this is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you? So Barak went down Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him. At Barak's advance, the Lord reunited Sisera and all his chariots and army by the sword, and Sisera got down from his chariot and fled on foot.
Because that's faster and more efficient.
Barak pursued the chariots and army as far as Haroth Hagoyim, and all Sisera's troops fell by the sword, not a man was left. Sisera, meanwhile, fled on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Hebrar, the Kenite, because there was an alliance between Jabin, king of Hazor, and the family of Heber, the Kenite. Man,
we are getting fucking convoluted.
They are bad at extolling plot. Like, yes. Show, don't tell. Like, you don't just... Exposition. This is all exposition. Jael went out to meet Sisera and said to him, Come, my lord, come right in, don't be afraid. So he entered her tent, and she covered him with a blanket. I'm thirsty, he said, please give me some water. She opened a skin of milk, gave him a drink, and covered him up. That's one of the least appealing sounding things I've ever heard. Opened him a skin of milk. Stand in the doorway of the tent, he told her. If someone comes by and asks you, is anyone in there? Say no. But Jael, Heber's wife, picked up a tent peg and a hammer and went quietly to him while he lay fast asleep, exhausted. She drove the peg through his temple onto the ground and he died.
Wow. She didn't like that guy.
Nope.
Gave him milk, though.
Yeah.
The old, give you milk, hammer a peg through your temple trick.
Classic. Just then, Barak came by in the pursuits of Sisera, and Jael went out to meet him. Come, she said, I will show you the man you're looking for. So he went in with her, and there lay Sisera
alive! And he came back! No.
So he went in with her, and there lay Sisera, with the tent peg through his temple, dead. Whoa, now, when I told you to take care of this, I didn't mean kill him. Let me make myself perfectly clear. I don't know. I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
Whoa, Nelly.
On that day, God subdued Jabin, king of Canaan, before the Israelites. Really, because it sounds like they kill him, like they do everyone. And the hand of the Israelites pressed harder and harder against Jabin, king of Canaan, until they destroyed him. Just You destroyed yet? No. Feel the pressure! We just drove a tent stake through that guy's skull. We didn't even have to. We let a woman do it. We don't even let them do things. Imagine what we let the men do.
We're fucking crazy, man.
Who's this black guy?
It's Brock. He hangs out with us because he's kind of white.
Was that where we're going to?
That's all of it.
That sounds good. Okay, everyone, so that should be enough for this week.
That is enough for this week, but it is not enough for this month. New thing we're going to be doing around this time of the month, we will be doing our Patreon shoutouts and telling people what they've done and all that stuff because you guys are wonderful. So if you're not aware, Patreon is the place that you guys can go to donate to the show and give us a certain amount of money per episode, and you get stuff. These are the people who got shoutouts this week. Music. First up, we have James Pyrick. He is donating $5 a episode to us. Thank you for your donation, James. You are wonderful, and you have a nice beard, and I would rub my dick on it. If you allowed me to. I'd probably do it against your will as well if we met in person, but...
You take the right cheek, I'll take the left. Next we have Alexi Garcia. I don't like how you spell your name. I'm offended by it. You should change it. I hate you. Thank you for donating.
Our next wonderful donator on our Patreon page at patreon.com/TBR is
Fabian Fielk?
Filky?
Is it Fielk? I'm sorry.
Filky?
I'm not that sorry. You donated $6.66. I get it. I get it.
Thank you so much. Now we get up to our $12 donators.
You fucking crazy people.
These $12 donators get shout out on the show, extras, but also signed TBR Bibles. You could have this too, but they have it now. And they are Moldred the Malcontent. You have a title. I don't have a title. That's cool. I'm jealous of you. Your Bible will be in the mail shortly. Thank you very much. There will also be a special note inside.
Okay, and the second one this month is Ryan Doherty. You also get a Bible. I don't know what to say about you. Aren't you disappointed now? That's good.
Next we have a couple that donated $15 per episode to us. They get a TBR shirt that they can share. Kason Silver and Chris Glover. Thank you, men, very much. I love you both. Follow them on Twitter. Here's their Twitter handles.
Finally, Richard Normile also donates $15 an episode.
Your shirt is coming in the mail as well, and stuff.
Yeah, so thanks everyone who's donated. If anyone else wants to donate even $1, or can you do less than $1?
Probably.
If you want to do less than $1, I don't care. I'd rather you do that than nothing. But if you got $1, do $1. We're like those starving African kids, except we're white in the United States and won't starve tomorrow. So, you can go ahead and do that to get neat rewards. Those extras should be going up hopefully soon. You know.
Yeah, we'll do 1 or 2 a month.
And other than that, I think that's it. You can follow us on Twitter at Bible Reloaded.
At Hugo Reloaded.
And I think that's it.
I'm Jake.
I'm Hugo. This has been the Bible Reloaded. Next week we see if we can sneak a bomb past the NSA by strapping it to our right leg.